With this, I like to call it like a pseudopod, right? It's kind of like a condensed version of an actual podcast, but we try to take that format and then we like to go, I always bring up this analogy. We're going to go left field to right field, back to home base, back to center field. We're all over the place. So if we're bouncing around and we're a little chaotic.
That's my brain anyway. ADHD. Go be a realtor with ADHD. There's none of us. It's like everyone.
Yeah, right? Every realtor ever, anywhere, right?
Yeah, it's about 99% of us. I feel bad for the people who don't have it because we're all over the place.
So speaking of all over the place, we'll start here, To somebody who might be a little bit wary of the current real estate market, maybe it's interest rates, is there any advice you give to prospective buyers, sellers, investors who are a little bit skeptical?
Definitely. So I'm speaking on the South Florida market specifically because the national market and us are very different. We're one of the strongest markets in the country due purely to supply and demand.
Okay.
You can get a decent deal now, but you're not going to steal a property from someone like you are in other places.
Okay.
But, as far as interest rates go, because that seems to be the big topic, especially with them just dropping half a point recently. If you can comfortably afford the mortgage payment at today's current interest rate, it would make sense to purchase the home now.
Okay.
Because as rates continue to drop, more people are going to apply for mortgages. More people are going to be looking at the same home as you.
Okay.
And more offers are going to go in. Now you're
More
going to
competition.
have more competition,
Right.
which in turn is going to drive the prices up. Not exactly like the pandemic because that was extremely rare, right? That everything aligned to make the market
Almost a
jump
bubble,
up.
so to speak.
Almost, but it didn't pop here. That's the important thing. Once again, supply and demand. We have more buyers than sellers. We had, during the pandemic, 1,000 people a month or a week moved here.
That is bananas.
Right. Now, that's not to say people were leaving, right? So there's some fluctuation, but we were already short homes to house everyone prior to the pandemic. I believe it was about 1.2 million homes we needed to house everyone.
Okay.
More people came here.
Right.
So in turn, we need even more homes to house them. So if you can afford it now, do it now. As those rates come down, speak with your lender.
Okay.
You may be able to refinance to the lower rate at that point, but you got it at the lower purchase price because as the rates come down, the purchase price is going to go up.
Okay. Sounds good. So, you just talked about this influx of people coming from all over the country here into Southeast Florida. Kind of transitions into our next question smoothly is I want to talk a little bit about the lifestyle of living in Southeast Florida. I'm sure that's very attractive and it's a huge, huge reason, especially after the pandemic, people realizing what Southeast Florida has to offer year round. So can you talk about some of the biggest differences between the lifestyle in a Palm Beach, maybe compared to more of a Fort Lauderdale or even a Miami?
Yeah, they're all extremely different. Each time you cross that county line, it's a completely different vibe.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so Palm Beach is what you think of as kind of like Palm Beach Island, right?
Yeah.
You have a very refined taste and people who are a little more set in their ways. They like what they like, they know what they like, and they will spend money for quality on that. You come down to the Fort Lauderdale area, it starts to get a little younger, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You have more things to do within the city area. I don't know the exact size, but it's easily double the size of West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
There's so many great bars and restaurants. You will not be thinking, what am I going to do tonight? There's nothing to do. You're going to think, what am I going to do? There's so much.
Yeah, it's almost overwhelming, right?
Yeah, and then, they got cool things like the boat tours off of Las Olas and stuff like that. I act like a tourist sometime and come down and do those things.
Yeah, I love going on the water taxi, the intercoastal, seeing the city from that point of view.
Yeah, and seeing those gigantic homes.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. I never really turned that realtor off. And then Miami's its own vibe.
Third world country. Place that is not connected to North America.
We've all seen it online, right?
Yeah.
They're from Miami. They're not from Florida. Don't disrespect them like that. So you're from Florida? No, I'm from Miami.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
you're Florida? No, Miami.
Yeah, yeah. 100%.
It's its own place. And me personally, love to visit.
Yeah.
it's a little hectic for me at this point in my life after living in New York, working in Manhattan, working in Queens, and doing that commute. Now I love the suburbs of Palm Beach.
I bet. I'm sure that pace of New York City is much different than where you're at now, and you could probably appreciate it a lot more now.
Yeah, exactly. When I moved here, it was like an instant weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I bet.
The vibe is so different. It was relaxing. I didn't have to fight traffic every day. I mean, just that alone, I feel like gave me 10 years back of my life. It was great. There's so much to do here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's boating, there's great restaurants, there's amazing shopping. They're putting in all sorts of awesome places like Top Golf and all these other simulated golf places.
Yeah, like a Pop Stroke, right?
Yeah, there's Pop Stroke, and then there's the one that Tiger Woods is doing where I believe you can play like a full golf course and you can pick from all these big name golf courses around the country.
Really?
And it's like you're playing it, but you're indoors.
So it's a simulator.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So I can relate to the pace of things being different. I'm from Northeast Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland, 10, 15 minutes from Cleveland. Cleveland's not a big city as it is. There's like one big building and it's a bank. Like you're driving downtown, you're going to downtown
And
Cleveland,
the arena?
and you see Key Bank in all its glory. And I've told AJ this before because he's from a small town in Texas. And man, when I get off the plane and I land in Cleveland, it's so different. The pace, the energy.
We had the opposite directions. You came to the hectic.
Yeah.
I left it.
Yeah. And I'm always going back and forth. And like whenever I go home now, I just sit in my backyard and I just chill. Here, I get off the plane, it's okay, boom. What's the next opportunity? What's the next business? What's the next boom, boom, boom? How do I make money? How do I do this? Hustle. And I appreciate that for what it is now. And it's, part of what makes this environment so special in Southeast Florida. And I credit it to what I've been able to accomplish since I've been here. But the pace and the energy of just Southeast Florida, it is different. But like you said, you have Palm Beach where you could slow down a little bit. But if you appreciate, Fort Lauderdale, Miami for what it is, and you like something more upbeat, you can go get that as well.
Exactly. I mean, it's a short trip.
Yeah.
And, that made me think, back to our conversation earlier, I had mentioned that I've moved around a lot when I was younger. I think that is so important. People need to leave where they're from, even if it's just for a year, to say, you know what, I really love where I'm from. But until you venture out and see how different the world, I mean, even your own state can be completely different, like we were just talking, right? You don't know what you're missing. Or you also don't know what you have, right?
Or like or don't like.
Yeah, I mean, you could hate your town until you leave it, and then you're like, you know what, all those things I didn't like, I appreciate.
Yeah.
And I do want to go back. Or you can say, oh, wow, there's a whole world out here. Where I was from wasn't super cultured.
Yeah.
We had as many pizza and Italian restaurants as you want to find.
Right.
But, if you wanted to try like Peruvian food, there wasn't anything around. And that's what I love about here. We have so many different types of people and cultures, and you get to experience them all.
Yeah, and I love the diversity, and it's something that is invaluable to my growth from what you just said. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I feel like if I never left Ohio, I could not imagine where I'd be. I don't think I'd be in a bad place necessarily, but it would definitely be a different place. And the perspective I've gained of being so enriched by the culture of Southeast Florida has been almost mind-blowing. Every weekend I'm almost like, okay, what can we do that we haven't done yet? Where can we go that we haven't eaten yet? Should we go to a Cuban coffee shop in Miami and just get with that? Should we go salsa dancing and do bachata on a Thursday night? Like, I've never even heard of that. Like, where I'm from, it's just line dancing and cowboy hats, basically. You know what I'm saying? So the culture is invaluable, to the growth as a person. And actually kind of transitions into my next question. So, Palm Beach County, right?
Yep.
A lot of people, there might be a stigma or maybe just a truth to it is more expensive. It's not as affordable as a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, or maybe somewhere in Kansas where where you spent time.
Yep.
So to somebody considering moving to Palm Beach County, is really attractive to it and wants to make the jump, but they think it's too expensive, what would you say to them?
I would say to, really do your research. Reach out to a knowledgeable local realtor.
Okay.
You know, not all of us are the same, right? So do your research, look into people, search YouTube, search Instagram, you know, read reviews about them, and call them and talk to them. Test them.
Yeah.
You're interviewing them to work for you and with you, right? So a good agent who's knowledgeable of the area is going to tell you the truth. They're going to say, listen, this isn't the most affordable area.
Right.
It's not unaffordable,
For sure.
but you're not going to come here and find a 4-bedroom home for $400,000.
No.
It's just not going to happen. So you have to set the proper expectations and then discuss, does that work for them financially? If it does, let's do this, right? Come on down, we'll find you the place. If it doesn't work for you, are there other options, right?
Yep.
You know, Palm Beach County isn't the only county. If you can go a little north to Martin or St. Lucie
Right.
and find much more affordable homes.
More bang for your buck up there, right?
Yeah, and it's only like a 30-minute ride.
Yeah.
That's not bad. You know, coming from New York, 30-minute ride was like nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I would commute 45 miles one way for work, and it would take me a minimum of 2 hours. On a good day.
Yeah.
On a good day.
Yep.
So a 30-minute ride right down 95 or the Turnpike to Palm Beach, where maybe your job will be, isn't bad when that's the way you can enter the market, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing is, you have to look towards the future. You are getting into a home now, building equity. You're not giving away your money to a landlord. Now, over time, you can use that equity to go out and maybe buy the house you really want in Palm Beach because you sacrificed and did that 30-minute drive for maybe 5 years.
It makes sense, yeah. So I think a lot of what you're saying is whatever somebody wants to do, you know, if they want that 4-bedroom house and they want to live in Southeast Florida, they want to live by the beach, it may not be the first step they take. So they have to be open-minded to different options. So it kind of leads me to my next question. You just mentioned this, right? Like maybe go a little bit more north from Palm Beach County to find more affordable areas or neighborhoods. Are there any neighborhoods or areas in Palm Beach County that are more affordable that maybe don't get the credit they deserve or maybe people might not know about? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they think Palm Beach, they think, okay, Mar-a-Lago. They think these $50, $30 million homes, but there's actually areas, I assume, that are actually very reasonable.
Listen, there's stuff at every price point here. You know, certain price points you may have a little less inventory, but one of the areas I've really been recommending to people is Lake Park.
Okay, Lake Park.
Lake Park. So that is sandwiched right between just south of North Palm and just north of Riviera Beach.
Okay.
And they're putting in a condo, a luxury condo there called Nautilus 220.
Okay.
It's right across the street from the Lake Park Marina. And because they're bringing in all these new people and a restaurant underneath, they're expanding the Lake Park Marina. And this has started a $1 billion investment in Lake Park.
Nice.
Also, on top of that, the city there is encouraging people to put ADUs on their property. So now they can put another dwelling on their property so they can rent it out, generate income, and help house people who don't have places to live. The city's pushing that.
That's amazing.
Get in there now.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna get in before it explodes. So that's the area I always push. You know, it's reasonable right now. So it's not gonna be, you know, in some time. So I think that's a spectacular area.
And to your point earlier, talking about anyone interested in these areas or just Palm Beach County in general, like be resourceful. Talking to someone like you, I wouldn't have known that was even a possibility. So that's why having resources and being resourceful and talking to people who live and sell and breathe Palm Beach County, talk to them because you can learn stuff just like that. And one thing, so we've talked about these influxes to Southeast Florida, Palm Beach County, what have it. So you posted something, you know, I did some digging, and this might have been a couple months ago or maybe even a while ago, or actually it was recent because this is what it says. So you posted a photo and you talked about a statistic, and this is what the statistic read. It says Florida gained 1,786 young households ages 26 to 35, earning $200,000 plus in 2022. So that led the nation in net migration for high income earners in that demographic. Can you talk about what it is with that demographic of people, younger, higher earning professionals, people in general? Why is Palm Beach County so attractive for that demographic?
Okay, that's a great question. And one of them, now it's not just Palm Beach County, but it's Florida, is no state income tax. You know how much money people are saving just moving here?
I know how much I saved.
Exactly. I mean,
Right?
I remember when I got my first paycheck, and there was well, I didn't have any money taken out since 1099, but when it was time to take out the taxes, it was a lot less. It was spectacular.
Yeah.
So if you make the same money, you're getting a raise,
Yeah.
right? Off the bat. On top of that, people were able to work from home. So why suffer in the cold if you don't like the cold when you can come down here to paradise? I mean, it sounds kind of cliche, I live in paradise, but we really do.
No, it's real.
It's
a blessing.
Crazy. Like, I don't know how you can just stay inside all day. Here, the lifestyle, right? It is just a much better way of living. And Wall Street South, right? West Palm Beach is Wall Street South.
Yep, I've heard that a lot recently.
You're bringing high-paying jobs to the area. That will attract a younger clientele.
Yeah, it's exciting. A lot of opportunity.
There is. I mean, like that was talking about, these people make good money. They're
Right.
also putting in all these private clubs in Palm Beach for these people to join. So they have all these exclusive clubs that they can be a part of.
Like what type of clubs?
You know, like almost like a country club,
Okay.
but without the golf and all that, and where, like, you know, they have cigars and you know, all sorts of high-end liquor and
Yeah.
events and things like that. It's just basically people like exclusivity, right? They're willing to pay because they make that money
Yeah,
to have a place that they can exclusively go to.
yeah,
And I think a lot of that has to do with why people come here as well.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
when you talk about a state, generally people have one place that they talk about, right? If
Yeah.
you say you're from New York, everyone's like, oh, you live in Manhattan.
yeah, exactly.
No, Manhattan's like this much of the
That's
state,
so true.
right? You know, we have all these amazing areas
Yeah,
to go.
even on the West Coast.
Yeah.
What? Sarasota, Naples, Tampa, St. Pete. Doesn't end.
Marco Island's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
place is
yeah.
great. Talk about relaxing.
Yeah.
If you're not relaxed there, you're not relaxed anywhere.
Yeah, you have some other problems you might need to
Yeah.
sort out internally if you can't take it easy on Marco Island. No, I totally agree.
And now I do myself prefer the East Coast of Florida
Okay.
more so than the West Coast, but that's important too. You're moving to a new place. You have to try areas to
Yeah.
see, you know, and going somewhere on vacation is not the same thing as living there.
I tell people that all the time. It's not enough context. You don't know what it's like to live here. You know what it's like to come here and get the nice dinner, but what about the day-to-day? The waking up, the going to bed, everything in between, working. A lot of people take that for granted. And I think it's really cool what you said about how, you know, Southeast Florida has so much opportunity to rub shoulders with people who can inspire you and you can build with and learn from. So can you talk a little bit about just some of the people you've had the pleasure of doing business with, or people that you know just really doing cool, big? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think people outside of the area have this preconceived notion, right? It's, you know, a much more mature population, right? That's what they think. It really isn't the case. It's pretty even, and I believe the median age in Palm Beach County is something like 42. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's wow.
So, I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
Well, I was just asking, like, you know, being in Southeast Florida, like I, for one, I have interacted,
okay, I
done
gotcha.
business with, and
Yeah.
met so many cool people. Like,
One of the most interesting people I met was a former stockbroker from Wall Street who made a bunch of money as a young guy and then left and went into art and now has art galleries catering to the people that he used to trade for, right?
Yeah.
So he's located on out in the Hamptons and then on Palm Beach. And just talking art with him, amazing, right? And relying on those people to help me. There's things I don't know, right? Like I know, there's artists I know,
Right.
but there's so many more I don't know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, just because we know an artist doesn't mean that that's the right purchase for someone to make. There was a
sense, yeah.
condo being sold in Palm Beach Gardens that included all the artwork. And they were big name artists where, you know, if you read them, you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
I know them. That's got to be worth a lot of money.
Right.
I reached out to him to get clarification, and he said, you know what, they're names that people know, but they're generally for the uneducated art buyer. I've had
Interesting.
collections like that recently, and they're extremely hard to sell.
Right.
That was great knowledge for me, because
Yeah.
then I could feed that to the, you know, other people who, like, if you're a buyer and you see a Picasso, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's the one I gotta get, right?
Yeah. Mona Lisa.
Maybe not, right? Maybe not. Maybe it's some guy you've never heard of,
Yeah.
but that's, you know, where you're gonna gain the most value.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like real estate, right?
Yeah.
You have to talk to people who know what they're talking about. So, I mean, lenders, not all lenders are the same. You have to find a good lender, find out if they work on the weekends.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a business that's 24/7, and there's people who don't work on the weekends. And most people, that's when they're doing real estate.
Yeah, no, totally, that makes sense. And I think, you know, it's important to note that, you know, in Southeast Florida, there is, in my opinion, more opportunity to run into people like that. I mean, for example, I was at a restaurant / bar just having a drink with my girlfriend, and this kid came up to me. He was a couple years younger than me, so he was probably 22 at the time, 23, and he goes, "Hey, I like your shirt." I'm like, no one's ever came up to me and complimented my shirt, or even just, you know, especially a guy just coming up to me and sparking a conversation. Long story short, ended up figuring out he's clearing 6 figures a month net with his e-commerce business. You're telling me there's people like that in Northeast Ohio just hanging around and striking up conversations? And I've had clients who have done huge deals sitting at a Greenwise bar, like out of Publix, and just sitting there chopping it up. And that's a lot of what inspires me to continue living here and growing here, just because it's exciting. Every time you walk out your door, you might run into somebody who could change your life. And I think that is super special, and I think it's a testament to everything that Southeast Florida has going on.
Oh, definitely. And the thing is, with that, I'm sure, you know, looking at that kid, the way he was dressed, you'd be like, if you were to form an opinion based off the way he looked, you would have been completely wrong, right? That's why we need to treat everyone with respect and treat them the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes the person who looks like the biggest bum is the wealthiest,
Yeah.
because they don't have to impress anyone. They know, right? Or they don't care about what they're wearing because they're focused on generating 6 figures a month, right? I'd much rather have 6 figures a month than the best outfit in the place.
Yeah, totally.
You
Or the
know.
supercar to pull up into this nice restaurant, you know?
Exactly. But let me tell you, cars, if you love cars, South Florida is the place to be. I mean,
The Mecca, right?
I'm sure, like you, like me, normal cars where you were from, Hondas, Toyotas, like, you know, pickup truck, things like that. You know, maybe it's an American-made Chevy or something. That's how it was for me. Came down here, it's a car show.
Yeah, it's normal too.
It is. It's
Yeah.
perfectly normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have every Cybertruck known to man in South
There's
Florida.
a Cybertruck lot right over here. There's like literally dozens of them, and they blocked off the fence. I'll show you when we leave here. There's literally, they bought a parking lot right here just to keep their surplus of Cybertrucks. There's like a whole fleet of them right here. And it's funny because one of my buddies who's visited me before, you know, still lives up in Ohio, and he's a car nut, came down here, and it was like every car that went by on Las Olas, it was photo, 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 photo. He's like, oh, get a photo of me in front of this. And I walk by it, I'm just like,
Car.
it's normal now,
Yeah.
which is not scared to think about, but I'm like, wow, what's normal down here is just not normal anywhere else in the country, but it's awesome to experience it, especially at my age.
You know, but that's the good thing here. It's not everyone, right? So you do get
Yeah.
people who don't come from that lifestyle. You also get people who come from that lifestyle. But the great thing is we can interact with all of them.
Yeah.
And they'll be mixing in the same crowd sometimes. That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, talking about all these cars and you become numb to it, taking a walk down Worth Avenue on Palm Beach Island.
Right.
I mean, you could be taking pictures in front of every car along the street.
And I think, because I know we got the 5-minute mark, so to kind of capstone or like to kind of summarize the conversation or kind of put an end to it is like, it isn't all just glitz and glam. Like, be very clear. Like, it is not all super 100, 200, 300, 400,000 earners. There are regular, hardworking people who come from humble beginnings and live a very humble life that they work their ass off for. And it's not just people coming down from New York City and LA and all these big cities and posting up here. There's a lot of that. But it's very important to understand that there is a lifestyle and a price point for everyone, no matter what you want.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And you know, all different types of areas. It's not all palm trees, right?
Yeah.
We have
So
other
true.
trees besides palm trees, and they're not very far away. You can drive 20 minutes and see all this beautiful foliage, and you're like, I'm still in Florida?
Yeah.
Yes, you are. The palm trees were actually brought here.
Yeah.
They're not from here.
That's nuts too. And what's that body of water that's to a little bit west in the middle?
Lake Okeechobee?
No, the Everglades.
Oh, the Everglades. Yeah, you got the Everglades.
But that too, it's like the Everglades are unbelievable.
It's so. Have you ever seen when someone takes an underwater camera?
Yeah.
It's amazing and absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
We have so many different things
Yeah.
here. And then they recently put in the F1 track.
Miami, right?
Yeah, at the
Yeah.
Hard Rock Stadium. That thing's cool. I mean, we got Art Basel, we got the F1. There's so many cool things that are coming here. You know, it really is awesome. And I suggest everyone at least comes and checks it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm biased. I think you're going to want to stay
Yeah.
because who wants to go home and put 7 layers on? I mean,
For 7 months of the year.
yeah, and wake up in the dark, go home in the dark.
Seasonal depression, things like that.
All of a sudden, the winter ends and you see your body for the first time and you're like, oh my God, what happened? Here,
Yeah.
how do you not be active? How do you
Yeah.
not go outside?
You have to.
You're not living in fear of freezing, you know,
No, I
or
totally
shoveling
agree.
your driveway and just too tired to do anything. You know, the great thing is I forget what time of year it is here.